Hi, this week I'd like to talk about change and motivation, and in particular how it applies to organizations. Uh, the late Kathy Dannemiller was out of Ann Arbor, and she had developed a change formula that was based upon the work of Richard Beckart. And her formula was D times V times F has to be greater than R. And that's to produce change. So the D stands for dissatisfaction. She says a person or persons within an organization need to be dissatisfied with the current state of however it is. And then they need to have a vision of how it could be different. In other words, how could this be better? And they also need to have some idea of how to begin to move towards the vision, where it's first steps. And those three forces together has to be greater than their resistance to doing it in order for change to take place. And so this has been a pretty powerful formula, and it's been used to guide interventions, and I'll give you a couple of examples. Dannemiller, she was also she was one of the national leaders in what we call large group intervention. She liked to take the entire system off-site into a room to implement change. So she would engage the whole system for change. One of her good examples was with Ford, the Ford Mustang plant, back when they went through a design change in the 90s. And at the time, the old design had run its course, so Ford was due for an upgrade. And so she took every employee who worked at the Mustang plant, they went off site at the Renaissance Center in Detroit, and she followed her formula in creating that change. So for example, to help create dissatisfaction, she brought in local dealers who would describe how their Mustang sales had declined and had hit a new low with that old model, and that customers were dissatisfied with it. And then she'd have the plant manager and the union president present a vision for how it could be. And then they would bring up engineers who would say, here are the first steps. In other words, we have blueprints on how we can change this. And then employees at every level were engaged in the details of the change. And once they had worked out all those changes, skilled trades literally went to the plant, started implementing change, while the rest of the plant started going through training to prepare for that. And of course, it was highly successful. They did the new design, and so the new design was also built different. And this formula guided that entire change. Now, the formula works for individuals too. For example, HGTV is known as a source for showing improvements in the home. So I remember one time my wife was watching HGTV, and so what it did, it helped her to form a vision of what our kitchen in our home could be like. So it also amplified the dissatisfaction she had for our current kitchen. So I remember her taking me into the kitchen and showing me, her dissatisfaction with this and with that, and then she asked me to sit down, and we would watch this show on HGTV that kind of had the vision for how it could be. And then it just so happened that she had a contractor in mind that she wanted to use, who could work out the details in the vision and how to get there. And so the next thing you know, we're renovating the kitchen, and we end up with a new kitchen. So this is pretty common. This happens to us all the time. Some of you, you may have the same problem. Your computer starts to get slow. You begin to be dissatisfied with it, and then you see a commercial about a new version of a computer, then you get on the internet, you check it out, and then you go to a store or you go to an online store and you price it, and before you know it, suddenly you're accessing class using a new computer. So it turned out to be a pretty powerful change model, and it's one that's still valid today. Uh, I used Beckhart's as a source, Beckhart's book, Organizational Transitions, Managing Complex Change, and Kathy Dannemiller's book on Whole-Scale Change, Unleashing the Magic in Organizations. Um, the references will be listed in the transcript that's posted. Thank you.